So I want to stop for a second and analyze everything we talked about so far when it comes to the breakdown of glucose and the usage of glucose inside the cell in order to provide energy. So we talked about the fact that we have a cell, and this cell is going to need to have some glucose. In order to do it, it has a specific protein called the GLUT receptor. The GLUT transporter protein is going to allow glucose to enter the cell through facilitated diffusion. It is facilitated diffusion because the molarity, the concentration of glucose outside the cell is bigger than the inside of the cell. Why is it bigger outside the cell? Because as soon as glucose enters the cell, we are going to have a process of phosphorylation of glucose, and we are going to get something called glucose 6-phosphate, which is a glucose with a phosphate on its 6 carbon. Now that we have the glucose 6-phosphate, we talked about the glycolysis. So glycolysis is a 10-step process that is basically going to be divided into two main processes. One is where we spend 2 ATP for one glucose molecule in order to provide this process energy, in order to derive the actual glycolysis. This process is going to give us 2 3-carbon with phosphate attached to them molecules. These molecules are the start of the next payoff phase. This is the step where we actually get energy back, and we get more energy than what we spent. This is also the step that we actually can get NADH molecules. We can charge and we can load electrons on the electron carriers that we are going to see in the future what we are actually using them for. So in total we are going to spend 2 ATP, but we are going to get 2 ATP for each of this molecule. So we are going to do it twice. 2 ATP, 2 ATP. At the end of glycolysis, you are going to get 2 NADH, 2 ATP, and 2 pyruvate for each one of the glucose molecules you spent. So this is so high yield for the IMAT and BMAT exam. So make sure to remember the products of the glycolysis when it comes to the actual steps and when it comes to what happens to one glucose molecule. In the next metabolic pathway, you're going to see that the metabolic pathways are a continuation of each pyruvate. So all of the metabolic pathway we are going to talk about in the next few lessons are basically going to occur twice, because each pyruvate is going to go through the metabolic pathways we are going to mention. But we have 2 pyruvates now. So I will see you in the next video.